Good morning and welcome to the LNG Marketplace Weekly News Flash. Here is the latest news we have selected for you from all over the media. In a first for the Swedish port of Södertälje, 7,500 meter square foot LNG bunker vessel Kairos has conducted an LNG bunker supply operation for project tanker Tärnsund. During the operation, 150 tons of LNG were bunkered at the port's oil terminal. The bunkering operation was also the first in the Baltic Sea, while normal cargo was unloaded in parallel, making the first operation more efficient. This piece of news we found on Rivera Marine. Pakistan has given provisional permission to 5 developers, including partnership with ExxonMobil Corp and Royal Dutch Shell plc, to set up LNG import terminals. The developers are now required to submit technical and financial details by November 5th, as well as a $2 million concession fee. Pakistan is seen as a big growth market for the global LNG industry as domestic gas production slips in tandem with a growing industrial economy hungry for gas. More about this project you can read on Bloomberg.com and Finance Yahoo. Natural gas producer Woodside Energy has signed a 13-year heads-off agreement with Germany-based energy firm Uniper to supply LNG. Under the agreement, Woodside will supply LNG from its portfolio during the agreed period, which is expected to commence in 2021. This we found on hydrocarbonstechnology.com. The Federal Energy Regulatory Committee has conditionally approved a small-scale liquefaction project in Jacksonville, Florida. The committee met last week and voted to authorize the Eagle LNG plan. This gives the project approval to site, construct, and operate a facility on the St. Johns River in Jacksonville. Eagle LNG will have 3 trains with a total capacity of around 1 million tons per year of production. More about this production you can read on energyvoice.com. Magnolia LNG, a planned LNG export terminal on the Industrial Canal in Cameron Parish, has agreed to a deal to supply liquefied natural gas to Vietnam. The property is owned by the Port of Lake Charles, and the 20-year agreement with Delta Offshore Energy is to deliver an LNG-to-power project for the Bac Lao province of Vietnam. This piece of news we found on KPLC. Freeport LNG and Redwood Markets Incorporation have announced the launching of a virtual private storefront for selling liquefied natural gas cargoes inside the Redwood Marketplace, an online commodity trading platform that enables buyers and sellers of physical LNG to negotiate and confirm commercial terms while offering efficiency, standardization, and price discovery to global community of LNG stakeholders. You can read more on Finance Yahoo. And on the same website, we read that the U.S. LNG producer Cheniere Energy has signed a long-term gas supply deal with shale producer EOG Resources to buy gas for 15 years starting from early 2020. With some of the gas tied to Asian spot LNG prices in the second instant of such a link. Cheniere typically buys natural gas using a price mechanism linked to a U.S. gas benchmark, but in June a deal with Apache Corp, it signed its first supply agreement tied to spot LNG prices. The EOG deal shows an increasing willingness from upstream U.S. gas producers to take on LNG price risk. Qatar Petroleum and Shell signed a shareholder agreement to establish a company that would provide global LNG bunkering services. Companies' respective Wave LNG Solutions and Shell Gas and Power Developments are backing the new plan. The unit will secure LNG supplies, set up bunkering infrastructure in strategic spots around the world, and sell it to customers. More about this you can read on energyvoice.com and on LNG World News. And another agreement worth mentioning. Sociedad Portuaria El Cayo, Calamari LNG, Avenir LNG Limited, and Hug LNG announced a joint development agreement in offering additional LNG services from Colombia's LNG import terminal in Cartagena. The additional services include, among others, cool down of conventional LNG carriers and reloading of small LNG cargoes for onward distribution throughout Latin America and the Caribbean. This piece of news we found on theglobalnewswire.com. That's it for this week. Tune in next week for more news, and until then, thanks for tuning in.